G'day, Stu here from UAVfutures, and today we're reviewing this. It's the ARMATTAN F1-4B. I've heard so many good things about this, I can't wait anymore. We're going to open it up, chuck it on the bench and check it out. Alright. So this is what it looks like when you get it from the post box. Looks pretty simple. We'll open it up and see what's inside. So this is what it looks like. This is what you get in the pack. Cool, it comes with a little sticker. Always like it when people throw in some stickers. We've got our 4mm base plate just here, a top plate, a PDB, a little LED ring thing at the back. You've got some standoffs here for your flight controller, some cool green, ooh, spooky. You got some green aluminium screws just here, and then some plastic bolts, plastic nuts, and some standoffs. And then this bit just here is the camera mount. So this is the base plate, and it's worth noting that there are two versions of this, of the F1-4B. There's some for 1806 motors, and then there's some for the larger 2200 motors. So I've got the 2200 version, and this one I think is 4 mils thick, or that's what it says on the website. Exactly 4 mils thick. Alright. It looks like it's really high quality carbon. The finish on this part is really nice, and it looks really strong. We've got a couple of important holes and spacings in here. It's 175mm from motor to motor, and it's made to spin up 4-inch props. So we've got some cutouts just here which are fantastic for your Velcro, and you've also got your flight controller mounts or your PDB mounts, your standard 36mm squares. You got a nice little space here for zip tying down your battery leads. And you've just got some really cool looking cutouts anyway, so it's a really fancy looking frame. I think it's got a bit of artistic flair to it, which is nice to see, rather than those square pieces of carbon. I love how these arms are so big and chunky, especially out here towards the outside of the quad where the motors are going to sit. So that means if you're going to have a hard crash or a hard knock, it's going to take the impact on the carbon rather than on your motors. So that's a good little design feature. Rightio, so this is the top plate of the frame, and so one thing I do love is how they've got ARMATTAN printed down the middle, but it doesn't look like it takes away from any structural integrity here because it still looks quite strong, and it's got a little bit of design work around here. I think ARMATTAN make fantastic looking quads, and they come with a lifetime guarantee, which I think is very important to note as well, so they're also very durable. Heaps of cutouts in here in case you need to zip tie anything down or use Velcro straps or things like that. You've got some spaces here for your HD camera mounts and your vibration dampeners. At the back you can see you've got some little spaces for some zip ties or something if you need to hold some battery leads down or antennas or something. And one feature I really like in this quad is how it's got such a big cutout here for your FPV camera. So when you're flying along, if you need to tilt your camera back, you can get some serious speed using one of these things. So we'll just have a quick little measure of what the top plate is. It's 1.5mm thick. Now this part here is for mounting your FPV camera, and I think it's just worth noting that I might have a different version than what is actually released now, so this might be an earlier type of version, but I know in the different ones they've got some little holes in here instead of this straight line, so this one might be a little bit of an older version. But essentially, I'll show you how this works in a little bit, but you can put this in here and this is how it's going to hold your camera in. So it actually provides a nice different way for mounting some of those HS117 cameras. Alright, now here's the little LED ring that goes at the back, or not ring, I guess a square, and this looks like a really high quality LED ring. So that's a multicolored LED ring, and we should be able to hook that up and get a whole bunch of different colors that come out, and that's a nice little touch. I like it when companies add some LEDs in because I think they're an important part of the hobby, and it makes flying behind other people so much better. So again, here's a little PDB that comes with it. It's fairly simple, and it's got, you know, your negatives and positives just here, but it's also got some things on here, so if you want to get your 5 volts out and stuff like that, you can solder those extra little components onto here to make this board compatible with that. Rightio, so that was really easy to put together. It probably took about 5 minutes. There's a couple little things I noticed as well while building it. Everything fitted in and slotted in really nicely. I didn't have to force anything, so you can tell it's really well made and fits together really well. At the back here, the LED ring, it shines out perfectly between these standoffs, so they've thought about how to place these LEDs, and the standoffs don't block any of the light coming out from the LEDs, so that's quite nice. It's nice the guys over at ARMATTAN Quads gave you a couple of little spares of these screws or something like that. So if you lose one, yes, you could use a different coloured one or some of your stock ones, but if you want to have a nice colour theme going, it's nice that they've given you some spare green ones as well. Alright, so let's find out how much this thing weighs. So it's coming in at 102 grams with everything on there, including the PDB and the little camera spacings just there. Now there are some differences between this frame and maybe the ones that you can purchase now. I didn't get any vibration dampening or HD camera mount, and I don't know if that's because this was an earlier version of the frame or something like that, but I know they're included in the latest versions if you want to buy an F1-4B. And also this little camera mount just here, in the current version it is no longer a little slit across just here so it could slide back and forth. It's actually 3 separate holes to stop your camera sliding around. One nice feature I found when I was building this is these standoffs seem like really high quality, and you think, oh, well, how does a standoff seem better than another type? Well, I've got some here that I got when I got my ZMR, so if I just center this in, so these ZMR ones are 4.9 millimeters thick, and just measuring these ones just here on the ARMATTAN, yeah, that one's coming in at 5.4 millimeters thick. So that's really nice, and you actually could tell they're a little bit thicker, so they should be just that little bit extra stronger. That's bad English. They should be just that little bit extra strong. There we go. Alright, so now I've built the frame, I guess to give it a proper review, I've got to give it a fly, so I'm going to have to build this thing and I'll report back to you. So now I've built and flown this thing, and it is an absolute little monster. I love it. It's fantastic. But in saying that, there's a couple of things that I'd just like to comment on now that I've had some experience with it. Some of the things they could improve, I think, on this frame is you need to be careful when running 4-inch props that just how close the distance is to your ESC headers, where it is mounted on this nose just here. So maybe you could direct solder some of that in there. But so far I've had no problems, but I am wary that that is a little bit close. And the other thing I had some troubles with was this battery lead here. I was going to mount it back here and tie it down with some zip ties and stuff back here, but I couldn't do that because I couldn't run it out past the LED ring. So maybe if the LED ring had a little cutout at the top here somewhere where you could run your cables out, or at the bottom, that would be fantastic as well. I know that ARMATTAN does sell a different PDB, I think, where this can plug in directly into the side, so maybe that's something you could look at if they didn't want to do that. One thing I did love is just how much space is in here. It's such a roomy build. So I've got my stack built just here with all my components, but there's also all this space just back here. Because it's 160 millimeters long, that lets you pretty much use any size components that will fit in here. So you've got heaps and heaps of room for even the most novice builder. They should be able to fit things inside this quad. But all in all, fantastic little frame, absolute rocket. I love the X configuration. It's really aerodynamic and it cuts through the air. Yeah, definitely 10 out of 10. Awesome little frame. Keep it up, ARMATTAN. I actually have a build guide on my channel to build this exact little race-winning monster just here. So if you want to check that out, you can click on this link right here. For more FPV related content, subscribe. And as always, happy flying! Ahem.